Yippee-ki-yay, my friends. Welcome to another episode of FBG Games presents the new gaming podcast. We're here with one of our top devs, Dr. Brian Kennedy.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Yeah, today, guys, we're gonna be talking about that game, Off the Grid. Very excited about that game and those guys. They're doing a fantastic job. So why don't we let's just get right into it. Why is Off the Grid good?
Well, I think any game is great that pushes the industry forward. And so having a game like this is really, really good because what it does is it pushes blockchain as not just some add-on to the game industry, but a serious game contender that actually gives you a reason to play it that's fun and enjoyable. One of the things I think that was really done really well with Off the Grid was they took concepts that are already being done in games and they modified them and created something unique, and it was fun and it even just is enjoyable. And I think that's one of the things that I think when you say GameFi, you say blockchain to gamers, they don't necessarily look at it as, oh, this is a serious core game. And I think these guys did an excellent job of making sure that this game is a core game, but has the blockchain elements in it and gives people a reason to actually play this game. So that's one of the things that you got to commend these guys on. Hats off to these guys. The team did a great job making this game. It's really fun. When we started making Takeover, we didn't look into, oh, this game needs to be, make sure it works this way, it works that way. We looked into what's fun to play. What is going to get people's attention and make them want to stick around and play this game and have fun with it and really challenge themselves to get deeper into the core audience. And I think that's something that these guys did really well. I think they already looked at what was out there, what was fun to play, but how can you be creative and unique about the way you play these games? And that's why I think Off the Grid is an excellent game.
That's kind of what you're saying that similarities are between AC and Get It Off the Grid and Takeover is these titles, along with some others side by side, pushing the industry forward. You're all penetrating from GameFi into mainstream gaming, mass adoption on all major platforms and whatnot. So
yeah, I think that's the thing that Takeover is aiming to do as well, is it's not just looking to be this blockchain game you buy and you only target the blockchain universe. It's being a game that core gamers giving into, and it has blockchain elements. So that's something that we really thought long and hard about when we were building Takeover, is how do we just incorporate this to make it natural, where it's not like, oh, you're playing a game that's not an actual game. It's just meant for you to waste time while you do blockchain. And I think they really, really encapsulated that in their gameplay, is that if this game had no blockchain elements at all, would it be fun to play? And I think that's where we look to have a similar concept with Takeover. Is if there was no blockchain, would people buy this and play it? And when we came back with our idea, yes, this is going to be something that people will play. They don't necessarily need to have blockchain involved, but they still will want to play. And the fact that we could put blockchain in it is something that will make it even better. And I think that's what they did with this game. And I think that's why I'd say there's a lot of similarities in the way they constructed this around the way that we thought about making Takeover and what we're doing with Takeover. We looked at Takeover from all of our years of experience in the gaming marketing. We didn't just look at like, oh, okay. So when you look at Off the Grid, you see this like battle royale style multiplayer, things like that. And it's elements that are already there that they got creative with. How we did Takeover was, how do we take team deathmatch and completely change what it is? And that was something that we did that was a little different than what they're doing. Of course, we're going to have game modes that may resemble other game modes because, game modes are definitely part of what the core elements of these shooters and team games are. But what we did was we fundamentally changed some of the other elements, like what it is to win. A really good game that I think, even though it's not in the first person market, that really does a good job of this, were games like the Souls games. Each one of the Souls games really kind of changed what it is that death means in a game. And I think that's what we did when we looked at Takeover, was we wanted to say, what changes winning? What changes a multiplayer at the core element? And so that's where I think the differences is between these two games is they got creative with styles that are already there, we created a style.
For our small team, like, very proud of what our team has done. We've done it a lot in such a
Yes.
short amount of time without compromising integrity of Takeover.
I mean, let's just face it. We're not 30, 40 guys sitting in the room making this stuff. We're just a couple of guys really digging down and getting gritty into these games and making them work. So that is a huge difference. I mean, you see some of the names on Off the Grid. That's why their production cost is like, the production is so high. There's really high quality, the character models, a lot of animations, and everything is really high quality. And that really just comes down to having the money for people to be able to spend that time and work on different sections and bring them together. We unfortunately don't have that luxury at this point. However, I think that's why it was such a big deal for us to make something that was so different from what's already being made out there, because we can't compete with these larger corporations and the amount of money that they can throw at these games and the team sizes they can put on them to really make these games shine. So instead, we have to get back to what the core of independent games is, and that is being creative about what you do. And you see a lot of creativity in independent games, and that was something that we felt we could bring into the multiplayer genre, and we don't need to have the biggest team to make it. But I can tell you this, if we had the team size to make Takeover that is out there making this game, Off the Grid and other games alike, I think Call of Duty might be in trouble. I think there's been all these concepts that just been done so many times. World War II, modern day warfare. Hell, shooting zombies been done a million times. Even having, like, you hunting one guy who is like a different type of creature than the guy that's hunting them. Predator, Alien, Battle Royale. These games have been, hero shooters. They've been done so many times, and it's like, okay, if you come out with a new game, I mean, think about it. Sony learned the hard way when they came out with Concord. You can't come out with the same type of game years after the first game that broke into the market came out. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself too little too late. So that's where not having that production value and not having the money to have this big team to really bring together a bunch of expertise and make this huge over-the-top game, I think that's where we had to specialize in. And I think we did an excellent job of figuring out something that was new, figuring out something that was fun, competitive, made you want to play it, and made you really track what you're doing in the game. I think we really are nailing that home with Takeover, and that's why we're going to be able to get into this market. We're going to be able to have our own space and kind of grow that space. And then we can, of course, we'll be able to make improvements as we go. We'll be able to update textures, resolutions, gameplay, smoothness, frame rates. All of these things we'll be able to continuously update, because we don't have some huge pocketbook that's telling us we have to do all these things right away. Instead, we look to you gamers to say, hey, I love this, make it better, and we'll continue to work on that. And that's why I looked at Takeover as like, this is not something where we're just going to put it out and we're going to walk away from it. We're going to be working on this thing for a long time to come. We're going to be making better and better and better. And we really truly believe in the game modes that we developed for this and how these game modes are going to shape the industry going forward. So we're really looking forward to working with people with this.
Ooh, yippee-ki-yay, my friends.
Well on our way, people. Bringing up gaming industry. So before we wrap things up, has anything new in the industry come out recently that you want to bring up?
Well, I mean, I would say there's a lot of new stuff coming out, and especially with Christmas around the corner, I think all these companies are making their pushes. They're throwing out their new consoles. 2 weeks to the Pro. You got Microsoft just released a special edition console. One thing I didn't know that I learned from watching the podcast was the colors of Microsoft actually represent something. And I didn't think about this, but somebody else brought it up. I can't remember the podcast, but shout out to them. White represents a disc-based console. Black represents a disc console. Didn't even know that, but I'm really glad that Microsoft is doing certain things to separate the two from each other. Of course, I got tons of suggestions for Microsoft to fix their company. Not the biggest fan of what they've been doing lately, but then there's a Pro. I hope you got yours reserved. I got mine reserved. I'm looking forward to this thing. I think a lot of people, there's been a lot of back and forth about the price tag and such and such. And I can tell you, like, honestly, it's a good price. I know people are a little upset. Sony, we got to look at it this way. Sony has released two separate genres, two separate generations of consoles where they did not make money on the consoles. This is the first console that's coming out in that price range where they're probably making some money off the top. you really can't even be mad at them. I know people don't want consoles going over $600 and things like that, but hey, as you want more technology, and we coming off of this whole COVID start of a generation and supply issues and things still costing more and the cost hasn't dropped yet as new technologies. Yeah, okay, great. $700. If you can't get it, I'm definitely telling you guys, wait, trade your PS5 or something towards GameStop, get a discount on it, get it for cheaper. It's going to be worth it. If you got a 4K, 120 hertz or 8K TV, this is definitely going to be worth picking up, especially unless you want to wait 4 or 5 years to something that plays it better. And I know it's not for everybody. This is something that is really going to matter to them, because a lot of people are like, hey, I'll wait for the next generation. I don't necessarily need this and that, and that's fine. But for you hardcore gamers who really are wanting to have that experience of everything in one box where you don't need to change this and modify this and that, this is definitely going to be the most powerful console on the market considerably. So if that's what you want to look forward to and that's what you want to play with, then I say get it. It hasn't really been a ton of Nintendo news, which is, I think it's actually a good thing, because I think Nintendo is ramping up to kind of blow some minds. I hope they're ramping up to blow some minds. I think the Switch 2, to me, so far, if the leaked images and everything has been true, it hasn't been the most exciting thing that come out. I mean, granted, I'm going to buy it. Just get that out of the way. But it's not something that's making me be like, oh my God, I need to stand outside overnight to pick this console up. I think for Nintendo to have a new generation launch, it needs to be something unique and do what Nintendo has always done in new controller. Always had a new controller. I mean, I stood in line for the Wii U. It was me and nobody. But I wanted the Wii U because Nintendo has always done something with the controller. And here, I feel like they may be doing a little bit with the controller, with the magnets that we've seen and whatnot. But it's nothing groundbreaking or something that's completely freaking wacky that's coming out that makes you be like, well, what is this? I want to try it. So I'm a little disappointed in that. But I'm hoping that with these guys not saying anything, there are a lot more tricks and tips and things that we have no idea about that Nintendo is working on. And they'll give us a big shock here coming soon.
Yeah, man. Maybe that next shock is, they started their own blockchain too.
I look forward to that. I can tell you that. Before we go, too, one thing I noticed earlier this year that was said a lot, that was talked about, but wasn't really talked about later on in the year, is that this generation was supposed to have, not this generation, but this year was supposed to be a slow year for games. Man, that's complete horseshit, man. This has not been a slow year for games. There's been a lot that's came out. Now, first-party games from Sony and Microsoft may be slow. But outside of that, there's been tons of games this year. There's been a lot of stuff that people have been playing. There's been a lot of things to still get excited about. There's been remakes, remasters. There's been games I've been waiting years for, like Dragon Age is coming out. There's been Silent Hill 2. There's so many games that have came out. So if this is a slow year, oh my goodness, what is 2025 going to look like? I hope you guys are ready. You might not want to buy a PlayStation Pro to save up for some of these games that's coming out, because there is going to be a buttload of games, including first-party games coming out next year from all platforms, and a new console launch. It's going to man, hold on to your seats, because it's going to get crazy in 2025. Looking forward to playing with a lot of you guys and getting this alpha out and really getting some feedback and seeing how we can improve it so we can get moved into a beta and start introducing the world to what Takeover is and why we feel like this is going to be a great concept that is going to continually improve and bring in a lot of people wanting to play this game and become the king. Take care. See you next time.
Yippee-ki-yay, my friends. We'll see you on the next one.